Family entertainment for Good Friday in 5 minutes in an enchanting tale from Beatrix Potter.
Now on BBC One, a bank holiday edition of South Today.
Hello, a very good evening. Around 1,000 ferry passengers heading back to Portsmouth are stranded tonight in notoriously rough weather off the French coast. It looks as though the Brittany ferry, the Pride of Bilbao, will now be 15 hours late. Due back about now, the ferry is currently riding out a storm in the Bay of Biscay and is expected to arrive back tomorrow morning.
The 37,000-ton ferry Pride of Bilbao is still being lashed by storm-force winds. The waves are reaching 50 feet high, making life extremely uncomfortable for those on board.
We've had storm-force winds, which are now down to just strong gale-force winds. But despite this, the passengers are staying pretty cheerful. Some of them are suffering a bit from seasickness. Our nursing officer tells me she's dealt with about 20 people. I expect there's a few more being brave on their own, but the good old British philosophical attitude generally.
The Brittany ferry Barfleur has also been severely delayed by gale-force winds in the Channel. Her lunchtime sailing from Poole to Cherbourg had to be cancelled. 900 people booked on the ferry were offered alternative travel arrangements.
It really started to blow, I think, Thursday morning. The ship sailed on time yesterday, but it was last night where we experienced the first real problems for the weekend, but as indeed every other ferry service up and down the south coast is experiencing.
The storm-force winds have caused damage along the south coast, uprooting trees and damaging sea defences. In Worthing, work has been going on to strengthen the coastal barriers in advance of tonight's high tide.
A 5-day rock festival on the Isle of Wight will go ahead this summer. Councillors have agreed to the event at Freshwater, which could draw up to 50,000 people. But hopes that the remaining members of the Beatles might take part have been dashed. Paul McCartney is said to be against the idea of a reunion. A teenage girl who's thought to be suffering from the worst case of ME, or so-called yuppie flu, in the country is set to benefit from a special concert tonight. Lynn Gilderdale, who's 16 and from Stonegate in East Sussex, is partially paralysed by the illness, which some doctors refuse to recognise.
2 years ago, Lynn Gilderdale was a healthy teenager who enjoyed windsurfing and sailing, but now she can't walk, talk or eat.
Yeah, it's tragic. I mean, she knows exactly what's going on, and she says to us time and time again that she wishes she was better.
Radio 1FM DJ Neil James heard of Lynn's plight and organised tonight's fundraising gig at Brighton's Paradox Club. Top groups Worlds Apart and the Average White Band agreed to take part.
We're raising money for Lynn, but it's also to raise awareness for ME, those that suffer from ME, and what is a very real disease.
Sadly, because of her illness, Lynn won't be able to go to tonight's concert. So this afternoon, Neil James visited Lynn at her home to make sure she didn't miss out on the fun altogether.
Now, as you may have seen on the national news, the Hampshire-based catamaran Enza New Zealand has set a new world record for a non-stop voyage around the world. She crossed the finishing line off the French coast after nearly 75 days at sea.
Co-skippered by the Hampshire yachtsmen Robin Knox-Johnson and Peter Blake, the world's fastest ocean-going racer crossed the finishing line at Brest at midday. Atrocious weather had forced the 6-man crew to settle for safety rather than speed at the end of their 27,000-mile voyage. Despite that, Enza New Zealand smashed the existing world record by more than 4 days. For the crew, it was a double celebration. The French challenger, Lyonnaise, which set out on the same day, is still hundreds of miles out at sea.
The speed skater Nicky Gooch was keen to repeat his Olympic medal-winning performance in today's World Championships in Guildford. But before his home crowd, Nicky's hopes just slipped away.
So Campbell, Gooch, Kim, Johansson.
Gooch got off to a poor start in the 500-metre semi-final before this spectacular fall on the second lap.
Nicky Gooch has gone down.
That was the end of Britain's medal hopes. Canada's Fred Blackburn later went on to take the title. This disappointment compounds Gooch's 5th place in last night's 1,500 metres final. And now a quick look at the weather forecast. That blustery weather we've been hearing so much about is set to continue. Winds gusting up to 50 miles an hour. Tomorrow also some sunny intervals amidst the rain, sleet and all the rest of it, and top temperatures tomorrow round about 9 degrees Celsius. That's it from us. A very good night.
Whoa! It's the wrong trousers, Gromit, and they've gone wrong. Stop them, Gromit! Stop them!
First he brought us the award-winning Creature Comforts, now a second Oscar for the wrong trousers. An ingenious crime with a cunning disguise.
Good grief, it's you!
And a daring escape. Nick Park's thrilling adventure, The Wrong Trousers. Easter Monday at 6 o'clock on BBC Two.
He's from the moon. He's brown and wrinkly. Look at him in the spaceship. He makes Elliot wrong.
Share the magic with us in half an hour.
And before E.T., the enchanting world of Beatrix Potter comes to BBC One, with a little help from Derek Jacobi and Prunella Scales in the world of Peter Rabbit and Friends.